When I was born, my dad had a great scrap metal company. He was doing very well for himself financially, and they didn't want to take from the government, which is understandable, but they didn't know, they weren't thinking at the time, like, oh, we can keep this for her later in life. So they didn't end up doing that. When I was 18, I applied. I can't remember back then how the process exactly was, but I instantly got denied. And the last time I applied was 2022. And I could just already tell from like the doctors that gave me the checkups and things like that. Excuse my language, they didn't give a fuck about what they were doing. So like the
Go ahead.
physical exam I got, he was just like, I walked in, he was like, okay, so where's your disability?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest installment of the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I'm your host, Nick Comstock. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on this great Tuesday. I hope everybody's Tuesday is starting off fantastically. And I have an amazing guest, as always. Before we get to her and her beautiful outfit that she's got on today, I want to say thank you to Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio. You guys, do you feel like you need a massage? Do you feel stressed of this world and all its crazy things we got going on? Or do you just want to be a little bit bougie? Well, Columbus Restorative Massage can help you do all that. Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio has graciously offered the listeners and viewers of Nick Speaks podcast 20% off of your next visit when you sign up online and use the promo code Speak Up. But hurry, because this is only a limited time offer. So get your massage, get all comfortable before the holidays, be a little bougie, and get to Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio today and get your 20% off when you use the promo code Speak Up at checkout when you sign up online. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to introduce to you my wonderful guest. She's actually been one of my TikTok followers forever. If you're not following me on TikTok, please go over there and follow me. I am almost at 74,000 followers as of this recording. So if you're not following me on TikTok, please do so at Nicholas Comstock. You guys, without further ado, I want you to help me welcome my peep, Paizha, to the Nick Speaks podcast. Paizha, how are you doing today?
Hi Nick, thank you so much for having me. This podcast is great and we love a good sponsor.
Yes, we do love a good sponsor. We really, really do. It's too bad you're out in California because you can't fly here. Well, you could fly here, but you don't live down the street. And
Right, right.
it's kind of hard for you to go get the massage and be a little bougie.
Right. I love a good massage. I actually haven't had one in years, so
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I cannot do deep tissue. I'm just too much of a wimp. It's just
oh.
I used to have a physical PT therapist that would do deep tissue on me, and oh my, I wanted to die after that. I really did. But after I calmed down and she got all the knots out, I slept like a baby the night before, but I'm a wuss. Or the night of the massage, but I'm a wuss. So I do not like deep tissue. But anyway,
Right, no, everybody handles different levels of pressure, so I get it.
yeah. So Paizha, thank you so much for being here. You've been following me on TikTok forever, and I was on a live the other night and promoting my podcast, and I said, "Hey, you were in my TikTok box." I said, "Hey,
Mhm.
would you be a guest on Nick Speaks?" And you said, "I would love to be a guest." So that's how you got here. Why don't you tell the viewers and listeners of Nick Speaks a little bit about you, and we can get in and ask some questions and have a good time.
Okay, well, yes, my name is Paizha Grigsby. I have cerebral palsy, and I know Nick has something similar to me, and I've listened to his story. So it was so great that we connected because we have, differences, similarities. When I was born, the doctors told my parents that I would probably never be able to walk or talk. And look at me now, I can walk and talk. um, I was automatically put in special ed because of my physical disability, which is unfortunate because not every person that has a disability or a child is the same. So I learned that in the special education program, they kind of place people in the same spot, the same area, and expect them all to learn the same, be the same. And that's just not the case. Everyone is unique.
Absolutely, and every disability is unique. Did you feel like you were looked at differently and treated differently because you were put in special ed at first?
Oh, 100%. Probably when I was first placed, people thought, she's not that smart. She can't catch up to things. And also when I was very young, I was super, super shy. So I didn't say much. So they just probably thought like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, can she talk? Because I could talk. I was just super shy. And then being so young, I was also bullied for um my early childhood years, and that was really rough because I was so shy then. I just didn't know how to take it, and especially girls, they would just look at me and be like, "Oh, we can take advantage of her because she's not going to do anything for us to us." I mean, and as time went on, that stopped. Thankfully, once I got into like middle school, high school, everything was good. That stopped, but that was rough for a young child, especially someone that is so shy like I was.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, because you ended up being pulled out of special ed eventually and put into regular ed classes, can
Right.
can you tell us the difference between the special ed classes that you were in and then the regular ed classes that you were in and how they compared and how your schooling changed after you were pulled out of special ed?
Well, I would say when I was young and in special ed, like elementary, I was lucky enough to have a very great teacher that actually taught us. So that was good. But once I got into middle school, that's when I slowly transitioned out to regular ed. And I had this teacher, it was sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. I had this teacher, she was super sweet and gentle and everything. It's just she taught us all the same thing mainly every year. So um after a little bit of sixth grade, my parents were like, you know what, you need to get out of special ed pretty much completely. I believe, from what I can remember, I believe I stayed in special ed for math because I was really, really bad at math and I was really slow at math, which most kids are. But yes, it was just a bunch of like learning the same thing every year. A lot of movies, a lot of things that weren't really challenging the kids mentally. And like I said, every child is different. So a lot of children were being held back. And then once I got slowly into regular ed, it was a big shift for me because there was actually a lot of work to do. And as you know, like in special ed, yours was different than mine. It seems like with you,
Yeah.
you didn't do much at all. But you don't do a lot of work in regular ed. To jump to that, it's like you do work in all areas, all subjects. So it was a huge jump, but it was the best thing I ever did.
That's the problem with special ed programs is because I feel like a lot of special ed programs, at least from my perspective, they look at these kids with disabilities and they're just like, what? They already have, disabilities. Let's have fun all day. Let's go easy on them. Because I
Right.
told you in our pre-call earlier today that, you know, my special ed experience was watching old episodes of Reading Rainbow constantly and going on field trips. And then we would take imaginary trips around America, and watch videos about certain states and have snack time. And, and it's just not a very good experience to say the least. And so even you said, watching a lot of movies and special ed, I I don't understand what watching movies and special ed does, especially if you're not learning a lot. Um and yeah. So did you feel like when you were in special ed that the general ed teachers treated you differently because of that?
For the most part, I would say no. I had really nice teachers and really understanding teachers, maybe slightly, but that wasn't really the case for me. It was just like the biggest challenge for me was actually having to do a lot of work because, there's deadlines, there's this and that, especially when we got into writing long essays and stuff. I'm not sure in your special ed program, did you like at least have to do like worksheets or any type of writing or anything like that?
No, no. So it was like colored by, when I tell you it was like preschool all the time, it was like colored by number. Hey, let's paint, let's do work on the, and let's play a computer game. So when I tell you I did not get an education, Paija, I did not. I mean, it was horrendous. I think that special ed classroom is open today. I hope it's a little bit better than when I was there and people are actually getting educated. And
Hmm.
but I certainly did not. But I think a lot of my issue was my special ed program was a private Christian school program.
Oh, okay.
So because it was private Christian school, the state really had no involvement.
Right. I was in public school, so those are two different situations.
But even I've heard even in public school, and I would love to invite other special education teachers on, because I've heard even in public school, like uh, the special ed students, they're not really challenged, and
No.
I think it's because, like I say many times, I don't know, you tell me if this is correct, that a lot of people look at us with disabilities and kind of give us the proverbial pat on the head, like, oh, they're not going to do,
Good for you. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they're not going to do very much. And then you get us that little certificate of completion. Oh, that was such an accomplishment. For what? I didn't do anything but eat the cafeteria food and
Right. No, it seems like your level of special education, unfortunately, was much like I thought mine was bad at first, but your level was much lower, unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah, so I never really should have been in there, but I didn't have a choice. My parents did
And you
what they,
speak so well now. Like it's amazing.
yeah, thank you. I really believe it's a gift from God. I really had no choice. My parents did what they thought was best, and so that's what it is. And I'm just out here trying to make the most of it. Um, so did you actually graduate with a high school diploma?
Yes. In high school, I was completely out of special ed. I went through all regular ed classes. My 11th grade year was like the hardest because it was picking colleges, writing all these essays. Like that was the hardest. I barely got through math, but I managed to do it.
Did you think that you were gonna go to college? Did you even consider that a possibility?
Yes, that was already a possibility in my mind and talked to my parents. I didn't know exactly which degree I wanted to get, but I ended up getting a communication studies degree because I didn't want to tie myself down to one thing. So yeah, I did that, and then I got an associate's and a bachelor's.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. And I'm glad we
Thank
talked a
you.
little bit in the pre-call today that your parents were really supportive and they didn't hold you back. Talk about how important that is for special needs parents to do that for their kids.
It's extremely important, and even if you're not educated within the special education system, because my parents didn't know exactly what to do either. But you have to encourage your child, and you have to make them move forward because if they stay stagnant, it's already hard to get jobs out here. And I'm unemployed currently. You have to push your child and not like majorly push them, but make them keep their mind going, make them do excuse me, make them do things because watching movies and doing all this, that's not gonna do anything for you. This world is tough. You know, you have to have parents by your side that will help you. So many children with disabilities, become depressed because their parents either don't know what to do or they don't believe in them, they don't encourage them. So it's extremely important. I'm close to both my parents. Both of my parents. My mom is my best friend, so my parents always thought I could do a lot in life.
So for your parents, and that's so awesome. For your parents, they didn't see your disability and be like, "Oh my God, she's nothing." You know,
No, not at all. No. And I've heard stories about, your parents and other people's parents. And I'm so grateful because a lot of parents aren't supportive as my parents were.
yeah, yeah. They weren't, unfortunately. And I'll say this again, and I've said it many times on this program and many times on my TikToks, is that I understand, especially now that I've grown up and, I'm 35 years old, I understand that when you have a child without disabilities, you know, that, okay, when you have that first child, you're used to it. Having a child changes the ball game for anybody. But then on top of that, when you have that first child and you get used to it, and you find out you're expecting your second child, but then all of a sudden they come and tell you, "I'm so sorry, your child has Down syndrome, or your child has
Right.
cerebral palsy, or your child has autism." Depending on the severity of those disabilities, that changes the ball game. This goes from,
Right.
oh, my child may not meet the same milestones that my first child did because they have this disability. Oh, my child may be with me 24/7 for the rest of his or her life, which
Hmm.
in a lot of cases, that's what parents with special needs think. And
Right.
that's not true. I tell parents all the time, even if your son or daughter is nonverbal and they're not able to care for themselves,
Hmm.
you still need to prepare for that next chapter without you in it because it is going to happen. And
Right.
we
Our parents aren't going to be around forever, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. So don't think that those of you out there listening, don't think that I'm being just exceptionally critical of special needs parents or my parents. I I get it. What I'm saying is that even though having a special needs child does change the ball game as opposed to having a child without a disability, that does not mean that your life and their life is over. That just means you have a hell of a lot more obstacles than somebody without a disability might. So
Right.
support them because they're going to need you more than you
Right.
think.
And there's so many different ways to support, you know?
Yeah. What do you say? for parent, because you're 30 years old, um,
Mhm.
and you seem like you've always been pretty independent.
Right.
Did did your parents ever struggle with you trying to do things on your own, where they felt like, let me do this for you. You don't need me. Did that ever happen? Kind of like, you don't need me guilt trip.
No, I would say like for the most part, I did a lot on my own. I would like if my mom wanted to help me tie my shoes, which I still to this day like have trouble tying my shoes. So I just have tennis shoes where you don't have to tie them. That's the best way to go for me. Um, for the most part, no, like my mom would help me with stuff. They would help me with stuff, but it was never like, oh my God, you don't need me. Like, how could you or anything like that? No.
Yeah, so you've been well well supported, which I think is just so fantastic. And um I wish all of the kids that have disabilities had the support system that you are talking about, because it's so vital. What has been what has been some of the most difficult things for you about your cerebral palsy?
Um, I've embraced it for the most part, but just the everyday things of like going on walks or like standing up for long periods of time, or like when people walk with me, I may have to tell them, hey, can you slow down a bit? Just basic things that people can do. Like, for example, standing in the shower, that's hard for me. And what CP uses, you use so much more energy, and a lot of people may not realize that, but it takes
Yes.
longer to do things, and it's just everyday things. Like I do them, but it's always harder for me. And someone that can just do these simple things right away and they have no strain or no pain or anything, it's a blessing, even though I do embrace having CP.
Has there ever been a time in your life, Paizha, where you were just like, this sucks. I wish I didn't have it. And how did you get through that time?
Um, yes, there has been times. I remember when I was young, specifically, there's this thing called a turkey trot, and if you can run around, it was like running around the track. People did that for like a free turkey, stuff like that during Thanksgiving. And I was like, damn, I wish I could run. Like I just wish I could run and not be out of breath, not need to like sit down. And so like the principal actually accommodated me, and he was like, Paisha, you can go run around this little trot. It was like a little square in during recess or on the playground, and everyone was cheering me on, like, Paige, you can do it, you can do it. And that was such a good feeling. I was like in fourth grade. But like there's been so many times where I've been supported so much, where I did feel left out or something like that. But then even people at my school, even teachers, like I was always supported in some sort of way. And as I've become an adult, I've realize like, yes, I may not be able to do this or that, but that doesn't make me any less than anyone else. And it's okay to ask for help. I know so many people that are like, oh, like I'm fine, I don't want to ask for help. That took me forever too, because you become ashamed and things like that. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like we have legit disabilities, and if we need help, we need help. And I know with you, you have caregivers, and your help is on a completely different level, but still it's hard for anyone that has a disability to admit that sometimes.
It really is. And even though my help is on a different level, like you said, and I really have no choice in whether I get the help or not. Because if I don't get the help, I can't live.
Right, right,
So, swallowing that pride and saying, hey, I need help, that really needs to happen. I
right.
used to tell roommates of mine all the time. However, it is good to ask for help, but don't ask for help for something that you know you can do yourself.
Right.
you know, so, um, be as independent as possible and don't let your disability slow you down. And you haven't let your disability slow you down. I'm so proud of you. You went to college.
Thank you.
You went to college and graduated.
Yes, it was not easy, trust me. There was just so many times where I wanted to quit because it took so long. I had, oblations or things that happened over the years that slowed it down for me, especially the math. I My last math class was just statistics, and that I don't even want to get into that. It was like a mix of wording and math, and that was the hardest thing. Like I barely passed that. I had to do like extra credit or whatever. I never want to see math again, but I got through it. Stuff like that was hard, very hard.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm just gonna ask you some general questions about college. Did you ever go to like frat parties?
No, no
Oh,
frat parties.
come on. Were you ever a part of a fraternity?
No, so I went to a city college first, right out of high school. And then once I got to that took quite a bit. Once I got to a state college where, you get the whole college, experience,
Yeah.
COVID hit. So we were virtual, so I didn't get that college like university experience.
Yeah, that sucks. But I bet you don't want to go through college again just so you can get the.
No. People are like, do you want to get your master's? I'm like, I mean, never say never, but right now I don't think so. Like I'm over college.
Absolutely. So, how has your work experience been for you? Because I'm going to give you the statistic here that somebody gave me from the Department of Labor a while back, and that is as of 2023, only 22% of people with disabilities in this country are gainfully employed. And
Wow.
to me, I think that's a terrible number. And I've said that many, many times on this program. And I've been told by three states and no, two states. Yes, Indiana, Ohio. Two states, three different counties that I am unemployable because of my disabilities. Quote, Nick, by my uh by my report that the state of Ohio did on me, they said, um, I see nothing that you can offer an employer. So that is why I'm here doing this podcast every week. That's why I'm here doing public speaking. And so tell me, how was your work experience? How has it been? Was it hard for you to get hired because of your disability? Was it hard for you to go to work every day because of your disability? And what are you looking to do now because you're unemployed? So, how are you trying to
Right.
find a job now? And what does that look like?
Gosh, hard isn't even the word. I like I said, I went through so much college that in my early 20s, I was really focused on college. I didn't go to school then. I had some issues with getting on Section 8. So, with Section 8, they check your income. So I had to hold off on that for that. And it was once I really started being dedicated to looking, like hard isn't even the word. And it would be sadly so much harder for you because you have so many um different needs versus
Yeah,
with me, but it's even so hard for me to get a job and I have 2 degrees. It's beyond ridiculous. Even to get an interview, it's just insane. And I feel like a lot of these websites, like especially LinkedIn, they scan through resumes. And sometimes I heard sometimes it's like AI. They don't even not even a real person looks at the resume. So it's
right,
like, how can you know someone's personality off of a resume? You can't. And
right,
then once you get an interview, you don't have to tell them right then that you have a disability, but it's like what angle do you choose? A couple of years ago, I got an interview for a place called Yogurtland. It's frozen yogurt. I was just looking, to get some
Yeah.
income. And the guy was really nice, but he noticed I had a disability, obviously, because mine is very visible right away. And he was like, "So are you gonna have trouble, doing these tasks, pouring the yogurt, pouring the toppings, all that type of stuff?" And I said, "No, as long as I could, sit down some. I can't stand, 8 hours." And you could see on his face, like, I don't know about her because she could be a liability, like we can get sued. And that is the number one thing people are worried about. And it's so awful because disabled people deserve to have as much as a chance as other people. And it's just so unfortunate. And like I said, if it's hard for me to get a job, I can't imagine how hard it would be for you or someone that's blind or has a worse case of CP than I do. It's awful. It's really awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Employers, ask yourself this question. Is it really worth it for you to get discriminated, get a lawsuit because you were discriminatory by not giving someone a chance? Or is it more worth it for you to get sued by someone with a disability that you actually hired and gave a chance? Because then you could go into court and look and say, look, we as an agent, we as a company gave this person with a disability a chance. This is what our policy is. We tried to make as many accommodations as we can, but it didn't work out. Would you rather have that lawsuit, or would you rather have, hey, I went and tried to get a job, but because I had a disability, they chose not to hire me solely because I didn't have a disability? Would you rather have that lawsuit? You know,
Exactly. Things can happen. Like, yes, there's more of a chance with disabled people, but things can happen with anybody. And the job market is so messed up for anybody. So just for people with disabilities, that makes it 10 times worse because there's people out here with master's degrees that are having trouble getting a job. I know someone, a friend of my dad's, someone she knows, she's worked in production, like high production for a year, and she's been out of work, for a year. So it's hard for everyone. And it just makes it 10 times harder for people with disabilities.
and yeah, it really does. And you know what the thing is that some of the same people that will not hire people with disabilities are the same people that say, get off your ass and get a job. Well,
Exactly.
number one, if you're in a wheelchair like me, I'm not getting off my ass for nothing. So, you know, uh, sitting on my ass is my bread and butter. You know what I mean? Uh, so, but it makes no sense for you to tell someone like me and someone like Paizha to get off our ass and get a job when you won't even give us a chance because we either walk in or drive in our wheelchairs and you look at us and you're like, oh, that person has a disability. Let's just put it on the back of the application that we'll call back. You know,
Exactly. Exactly. And you speak so well. There's so many jobs that you can be in where you just like use your voice and speak. And, especially with technology nowadays, a lot of the things that people needed to do 10, 20 years ago, they don't need to do that now because the technology is so up to date and it's just gonna things are gonna just change year after year. So there's no excuse with that either, really.
yeah.
You're not choosing to work in a field, You're not gonna go apply to work in a field or something.
Well, for those of you who need like, landscaping done, you could hook a tractor to my chair. It may not look the best afterwards, but if you're willing to give me a chance, hey, you know, I'm willing to hook up a snowplow for my chair for winter that's coming up. Hello, Columbus. Uh, hey, that would be fun. Um, Let's continue on the topic of work because right now you said you don't have a job. So
Right.
maybe somebody's out there listening and they're like, oh, I'd like to give her a chance. Like what kind of things are you looking to do? What kind of work would you want to do?
Well, previously in my last job, I worked for a multicultural bookstore, a small business. So they were called Miha Books. It's a great company. So um, they were so representative of Black and brown children. And in our world, in our books, we need that. So shout out to Stephanie Breed. She's great. There was no hard feelings there. I was a sales associate and I for them, and I was a social media coordinator. Now I want to get into more social media. That would be great for me. I want to work within music, within entertainment. So I'm open to a lot of things. I've done event coordinating. That was really cool. So anything within that realm, but I'm also open to other things. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I just want to do these two jobs and that's it. As long as there's no crazy physical type labor, I'm able to do it.
Yeah, and you're able to sit down throughout the day because you told me earlier today, and I don't think you mind me saying this, that you walk with a limp, and so
Right,
it's somewhat difficult for you to be on your feet for 8 to 10 hours a day as opposed
right,
to somebody who doesn't have a physical disability. And you know what? You're out there in California, so I mean, you're right in the middle of Tinseltown, as they say, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that could have you be used as an event coordinator, or hey, you told me about your trip to the BET Awards on the pre-call. Maybe they can get you to
right.
coordinate that. Come on.
Yes, yes. I was a seat filler. That was so fun.
Did they pay you for that, or was that?
No, so you go on seatfillersandmore.com,
Yeah.
and in LA specifically, they uh they have a list of upcoming award shows, and you sign up, and if you get an email back, you get an email back. So they just randomly pick people to fill the seats. Because if you ever notice, like an award show or any type of show like that, they they don't have any empty seats for a reason. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense now.
I wonder if you could like. Have you ever tried to do like a seat for one of those court shows in the audience?
No, but that would be interesting.
Maybe you could get, because I heard they actually pay you to do those.
Oh
Like,
wow, I did not know that.
yeah, they actually pay you. You have to wear like appropriate attire for court, but
Hmm.
they actually pay you to sit in the audience. I think I read online that they used to pay Judge Judy audience members between $500 and $1,500 a day.
Really?
So
Oh
that's
shoot, sign me up.
That's allegedly, but I did read that online somewhere that they did pay the Judge Judy audience members between $500 and $1,500 a day to sit there.
Wow.
Um, so hey, maybe that's something you can work out, and hey, give Judge Judy my number. She's my hero. Uh,
For sure.
uh, so it's really hard for you to get work. I want to talk to you about, because you live in California, and I
Hmm.
want to talk to you about, you said it is really high to live out there. The cost of living is, as we
For
all
sure.
know. But you said the resources for people with disabilities are amazing.
Yes.
So talk about
Um,
this a little bit.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Um, yes, like we have the Braille Institute for people that are blind. There's two different locations, one in Anaheim, one in LA. I have a friend, Lindsay Kerr. She is going to be a Braille teacher. She just got her master's degree, um, which is great. Shout out to her. She's doing amazing things. There's so many different resource programs. There's a Department of Rehab here. They actually help you um or prepare you to get a job, which I'm connected to. There's so many different nonprofit foundations as well. And I would love to actually work for one of those because I always want to embrace my disability, and if I could help other people in that same area, I would love to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love hearing about all the programs out there. And I've heard, California is expensive to live, but I've heard they do have some of the best benefits for people with disabilities out there.
They
Uh,
really do. Yeah.
I don't know. I would be afraid to go through an earthquake, though. Have you ever been through?
This is the thing. People that don't live in California, they're so afraid of earthquakes. But I've barely, I've been here all my life. I've barely went through an earthquake. Maybe like a little shake, but I've never, I mean, people older than me, obviously, that been on this earth longer have experienced maybe worse earthquakes, but I've never experienced a crazy earthquake. And people are so worried about that here. I worry about, hurricanes and tornadoes and other places. I'm like, literally, my 30 years here, never a bad earthquake.
What about a mudslide? Have you experienced?
No.
Really? Okay.
Mm-mm. That's
All
what
right.
I'm saying too. Also living in Southern California, it's like things are high, but I feel like we also pay for like the weather and everything. Because, compared to other states, we have like
So
paradise weather
nice.
here, you
Yes,
know.
I hate you. I I literally I love you, but I hate you in the same sentence because
But I
I
do want to experience snow.
oh my god, no you don't. No you don't. I'm just no. Just no you don't. Everything shuts down. No, no you don't. If you want to experience snow, go up to Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, yeah. I have a family there and my uncle's there, so eventually hopefully I can go up there. So we have like, we have access to a lot of things.
Yeah. Um, so talk to me about, that I talk a lot about dating as a person with a disability. Talk to
Hmm.
me about what that has been like for you.
Oh, I have a story to tell you.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I mean, this is funny now, but in the moment, it's funny, but not really funny. So a couple of years ago, right before COVID, actually, I went on this date, and it was kind of fast. Like I kind of had a gut feeling, should I meet up with this guy or should I not? Because I don't really know him. Like who knows? But obviously, we met in a place. Everyone, please do that. Don't meet at houses first, especially disabled people. Don't meet at houses. Don't meet at alleys.
Nick,
Don't let them try to fool you. So,
you know how many
um,
guys I've met online and I've said, "Hey, come over to my house." And they've done it. I'm stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, that's not the best idea. But we meet at this place called the Town Center. I'm from Long Beach, California, so we have like this nice little town center where there's, food court stores or whatever. So I
Yeah.
walk up to him and instantly I feel something is extremely off, just the way he looked at me. Like he looked at me up and down. But, nice little me. I was like, oh, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Mind you, before the date, he calls me the night before. He was like, oh, I only have $2. Is that fine? I can't really like get you anything tomorrow, which again, nice little me. Ladies, like, no, if a guy says he only has $2, I'm not a gold digger. That's why I went on the date, but there's got to be a certain standard, okay? If you have $2 and you can't even get someone a coffee, you shouldn't be going on a date. I'm sorry.
Girl, talk about it. So what you doing on that date then?
So we went to Starbucks. I sit down. He doesn't even offer me water's free. Okay. He could have said, can I get you a cup of water or something? Um, None of that. So we sit down and he was like, I think first he was like looking at his phone and looking at me. So apparently he had a picture on his phone of me and he was comparing the picture to me in person. And he goes, oh, do you use Proactive? I'm like, no, like, what the hell? I'm like, first of all, I have my pictures, your wallpaper, like that's creepy. I don't even know you. And then second of all, he goes, oh, I noticed you walk differently or something like that. He's like, did you get hit by a bus?
Oh my god.
I to say I was just like so taken back. I had like no reaction. I was just like silent for a moment. I was like, no, I have cerebral palsy. I was born like this. This is just the way I walk. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I was just like flabbergasted. I did not know what to say. And again, after that, how the date was going, I should have got up and left. But no, I stayed for like an hour and he had no real interest in me. He was just like talking about himself. Oh, I like basketball. I do this, I do that. I rode my bike
You
here.
don't even have
I did
money.
yeah, like
What you doing sitting at a Starbucks with only $2? That ain't gonna get you nothing.
like again, I am not a gold digger, but have some standard. We need to have some sort of standard here.
Listen, I understand you're not a gold digger, and there's a lot of talk about this, but guys and girls, if you don't even have McDonald's money to go on a date, do not go on a date. I mean, seriously, I like if I'm gonna go on a date with somebody, I'm gonna say, hey, let's go to Culver's or let's go to Taco Bell. I'm gonna say, let's go somewhere where I know my budget is gonna pay for the both of us. But you cannot just, hey, I have $2. I can't even spend anything on you tomorrow. Listen, ladies, if a guy says that to you, run and keep running. If you're in a wheelchair, turn that thing up as high as it'll and go and don't look back.
No, I should have ran. And it's just like, I don't know if he was thinking like, oh well, I don't have any money, but like I could still probably get some or something like that. And that
Yeah.
did not happen. Um, it was just so weird. Like he was just so awkward. And then before I got picked up, he was like, oh yeah, I told him like, I don't do there's not much to do at my house or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, so you aren't lonely. You can come over my house and play the PS4 or something. I was no thanks.
Well, you can afford a PS4, but she can't make sure that you have at least maybe $25 to go on a fast food date.
It was a coffee date. A coffee date.
Wow, you can't even afford a coffee. Boy, sit up.
Like I was just like, so after how that date went, you think I wanna go even see you again? Like, are you that delusional? And he was like, oh yeah, I noticed your friend's mom dropped you off. I took my bike here and it's like kind of cloudy. I think it's gonna rain. Can you drop me off somewhere? I was like, absolutely not.
Oh, jeez.
So odd. And then like we said goodbye. He blocked me before I could block him. But that was the worst date I've ever been on.
Yeah, and hello, if you knew it was going to be cloudy and rain, why would you bring a bike? Hello,
Exactly.
at least take public transportation.
Mm.
Okay, weirdo. Um,
Yeah.
so have you had a worse experience since then, or something similar? Is it hard for you to find someone?
Um, I wouldn't say it's very hard. I just like throughout my life, I've been so focused on other things that like I haven't really put as much effort into. Like, there's
Hmm.
probably plenty of dates I can go on, but um, I just have focused on so many other things. Like now, I would love to start dating again. It's just the whole thing of like, okay, I have to tell them right away that I have a disability because they see my pictures and a lot of guys they flirt with me or whatever. But it's like once I tell them I have cerebral palsy, is that gonna completely change their mind? Actually, I had like it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. This guy, we met up again, and I walked out, and he said like, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?" We talked for a couple minutes. He was like, "Actually, you do want to do this a different time?" And that was just so messed up because like I knew it was because of the way I walked. Because after 5 minutes, he was like, actually, we should do this another time. It's like, dude, just say you're not interested anymore. Don't lie.
Yeah. 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 Well, if anybody is out here listening right now, go on my YouTube channel and look at Paizha. She's beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
maybe you can get a job too. I want to talk about something real quick, because you shared something in the pre-call that you've been denied for Social Security 3 times, multiple,
3 times.
three
Yes.
times. And what has been the reason every time?
So when I was born, my dad had a great scrap metal company. He was doing very well for himself financially, and they didn't want to take from the government, which is understandable, but they didn't know, they weren't thinking at that time like, oh, we can keep this for her later in life. So they didn't end up doing that. When I was 18, I applied. I can't remember back then how the process exactly was, but I instantly got denied, and then I applied another time. Don't remember what happened then. And the last time I applied was 2022. And I could just already tell from like the doctors that gave me the checkups and things like that. They, excuse my language, they didn't give a fuck about what they were doing. So like the
Go ahead.
physical exam I got, uh, he was just like, I walked in, he was like, okay, so where's your disability? I was like, he can't be serious. Like my disability is very visible. Right when I start walking, you can see where it's at. I'm like, well, it's on my left side, my left side is the side that's most affected. And he was like, oh, okay, okay, walk over there. And then he like had me lay down and do these other tests. And he was like, okay, yeah, thanks. You're good to go. I was like, well, you failed at even getting me a chance to get this SSI because he just didn't care.
Yeah. So have you applied again?
No, see, what I should have done, honestly, is since I've been unemployed for about a year, I should have, tried to apply like a year ago. Which I wasn't thinking. I was thinking like get a job, get a job. Like that's been my main focus. But you never know. I could have had it and I could have used it to help myself because you know, I need it. I think I deserved it. Like I haven't had it all my life. I worked so hard throughout my life and I deserve it, I feel like. And it's just unfortunate that there's people, I'm not shading anyone, but there's people that have just depression or they scam the system and they get it. And my disability is you can see it visibly right away. And I've applied 3 times and I haven't got it. So that's just so crazy to me, honestly.
Oh, don't feel bad about shaming the scammers because you're right. People go into the Social Security office and it seems like they act like they can't lift their shoulder, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, here's $900 or whatever the level is in your state. Because some states, you get one from you get a check from the state and you get a check from federal, which I would love that, but
Right.
honestly, Paige, yes, you do deserve the Social Security, but this is what I'll say. You're not on it right now. So
Right.
you don't have the same restrictions that those of us on Social Security have.
Oh, 100%.
So, like, for example, for those of us that are on Social Security, we can't have anything over $2,000 in our bank account or in any assets, period. We can't have anything over $2,000. We can't have any stocks, bonds, mutual funds, so it would be better for you. I agree with you. You deserve the Social Security. You have a viable disability. You walk with a limp. It's very difficult for you, but it would be better for you to get a job, in my opinion,
Oh, I agree 100%.
and not have to worry about because once you get a job and you're on Social Security, you can only make so much money.
Right. And that's the reason why I like kind of refrain from it a lot of times. I'm like, well, I get on it, I get a job, and it's a hassle. I learned that from my close friend, and she got off of it, and now she's becoming a teacher. So 100%.
which teachers don't make that much money anyway. So um, congratulations to your friend, and we did talk, and hopefully you and I talked about it earlier, so hopefully she's going to be on the show. But yeah, so that would be my best bet to you. I know this sounds really stupid. I'm going to ask you this question. So, do your parents do they give you like an allotted amount of money every month, or do they just give it to you as you need it?
No, basically, if I need something, they give it to me. I do get a little bit of money because I have um, food stamps. So if you're on food stamps, you get like a little bit of money. It's not much, but because basically they're saying like if you have no income at all, you can get a little bit from them, but it's not much.
Well, like food stamps is not cash, and that's
Right, right. But there's food stamps and then there's like general relief. So you can get both of those if you're like unemployed.
yeah. So what I'm wondering is if you could get them to give you a little bit of an allowance each month, so you can put some away in savings. Because like I said, you're at a good point right now because you're not under the rule of you can't have anything over $2,000.
Right, yeah. And like I said, that's why a lot of times I refrained from um getting SSI as well because I just didn't want to have those limitations and it's so hard for people out here like a person like you that has, so many needs and yes, you live in a state where it's not as expensive, but it's getting higher and higher everywhere and like people need to live and it's like they want to help you but they actually also want to hold you back
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you don't become successful.
yeah. The government, in my opinion, wants people with disabilities, legitimate disabilities, to stay on their dime forever so that they can have some form of control. And again, this is why I'm on the podcast and I do what I do so that um, I'm trying to build this up for myself so that I can eventually get off Social Security, get off the Medicaid, and just
Right.
just pay everything outright. And when I talk to people about that, Paizha, they always get very, very concerned. They're like, "You're gonna need these benefits. Why? I barely get $63 a month in food stamps. And
Right. And
yeah,
if you don't take the risk to succeed, you'll never know the opportunities that come to you. It's like
I
with anything else.
yeah, I guess most of my people that are close to me, they say, Nick, they're concerned about how I will pay for the home health care. And I get that because that is,
That's understandable. Yeah.
private home health care is very expensive. But I'm not
Right.
going to let that stop me from being successful and making money outside of the system. Because as long as people with disabilities have more money besides the little shoestring that they give us every month, you'll be better off if you're able to make more money outside of the government system than you will be continuing to be a part of the government
On it.
system.
Yeah. Exactly. Are you familiar with a social media influencer? Her name is Chelsea Bear.
I'm not familiar with Chelsea.
She's a great example of that. So she's a full-time content creator. She has cerebral palsy worse than mine, and to see her shine and like I said, creating content is her main job, and she lives in Florida. She's going to live on her own soon. She previously lived with a roommate. Just to see her flourish and beat the odds is wonderful. So shout out to her.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to look her up and maybe eventually get her on the program. Do you have eventual aspirations, Peja, to live on your own? I know you said right now that you're with your parents. Is there something holding you back from doing that? Or are you just not ready yet?
Um, well, I mean, everyone, I think, it would be a big adjustment, but um, like I said, if I don't the only way right now, the only way I could live my own if I were to get on Section 8, and then I would have to get on SSI. And like I said, the main focus right now is to get a good paying job.
Right.
So, but yes, I eventually do want to live on my own.
Yeah, it would be better for you to actually get a good paying job and, not have to worry about Section 8. Um,
Right. It's
because,
a blessing and a curse. I will say that.
yeah, it, it is. Well, Paizha, just talking to you today has been inspirational for me and it's been fun. Any last words before we go today about those that are in the same boat that you are, or maybe a little bit worse?
Well, Nick, I just want to tell you thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I am so proud of you, and you will succeed to the level that you want to succeed one day.
Thank you.
You're so inspirational in the way you keep beating the odds and how you're doing this podcast. You're on TikTok. You're being productive to try to get out of your situation. That is just so inspiring, and just keep going. And also anyone that's disabled, people that don't have jobs or are looking for jobs, check out all your resources. A lot of people don't realize how many resources they may have. I know here specifically in California, there's plenty. So if you're in California, um, check out all the resources. I don't know in terms of other states what is available, but there are things available. And it's like even with here with California with Medi-Cal, a lot of people, for instance, they don't know that they can get rides to doctor's appointments, pharmacies, and things like that. So take advantage of all your resources. And also, you need to just, if you get rejected, just keep going. I know, like, it's been so hard for me. There's been nights I've cried and cried and cried. But also, if you're willing to share your story and willing to create content on social media, do that, because then people can truly see your personality and see that you're persistent in showing that you're not just a disabled person that can't do anything. You actually do have aspirations and things you want to accomplish in life. So keep going. You got this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll piggyback off of what Paige said. You know, even if you have parents who aren't as supportive as Paige, you find your community. Social
Yeah.
media is such a wonderful place for people with disabilities. I understand it can be cruel too. There's a block button for a reason. So use
Right.
um but really don't allow your disability to slow you down, and don't allow it to discourage you from living the best life that you can live. And don't let the word no allow you to just crawl in bed and say, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
Let that give you fuel. I know sometimes I get so tired of hearing the word no, and somebody will look at me and say, well, let it give you fuel, like I just told you guys. And I'll say, but I'm tired of hearing the word no. You're going to get tired. And I say this all the time. You're probably going to hear about 100,000 no's before you hear a yes. But once you hear that first yes, keep going, baby. It doesn't mean it gets easier once you hear that first yes, but it means your dreams are going to start coming true once you hear that first yes. And as long as you keep giving up, God or the universe or whatever you believe in will not give up on you. I personally believe in God. Um, but I know that there are those who don't, so that's totally up to you. But if you won't give up, God won't give up on you, from my perspective. So just keep going, and you can have a fulfilling life just as much as someone without a disability. So just keep going. That's why the Nick Speaks podcast is here, to encourage you with other guests and the monologues that I do, to just keep going and to make you realize that you can have a life just as fulfilling without a disability as you can with a disability. So, Paige, I want to thank you for being here with me today on Nick Speaks. Stay right there because we're going to have a conversation off camera when we're done recording today. So, thank you so much for being here. It was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, Nick. You're wonderful.
Thank you, my dear. And thank you to Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio for sponsoring this podcast. Remember, guys, you get 20% off your first visit when you go to Columbus Restorative Massage and Wellness Studio's website and put in the code Speak Up. You will get 20% off your visit. Go do that. Go get all your stress out. Go be bougie. And you'll love it. Also, guys, remember, I have my GoFundMe here. You can help me with continuing bringing you the podcast. If you want to be on the show, email me at nickspeaksofficial@gmail.com and we'll set up a pre-call just like I did with Paizha today. And then we'll set up your podcast recording. And I think that's it, guys. So this is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. Thank you guys so much for being here today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.